disguised my handwriting and I used someone else's DNA to lick the envelope. That's Cary Stayner.
Okay. Somebody watched their CSI.
Yes, they did.
These voices that you're hearing right now, I know that you might not recognize us because it's been a hot minute, but it's Jen.
So long. And Becky.
And it's too close to home. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
We're going to finally finish this part 2 of the Stayner brothers, but we apologize for being out. We did have that special episode where we interviewed someone about their missing relative, but, you know, illness, retail, new jobs. Let us all give a round of applause to Becky for being a bad bitch and getting a new badass job.
Thanks. Let's
Cardi
give a
B
round
would be so proud of you making those money moves.
Thank you. JJ is too. He said he likes pretty things.
We were talking beforehand and I was like, I hope that JJ has a Pinterest board of all the things that he's going to get when we take off on this podcast. He's going to have a ton of J's on there.
Oh,
different
sure.
hues, like matching. So much D&D stuff.
He's going to look like such a good trophy husband.
He is.
So pretty. I'm going to doll him up. And let's just, give a round of applause to Jennifer for thus far, surviving the retail season.
Oh, God. I don't know if I'm going to survive the rest. I'm not here just fighting for my life.
Every day.
With cowboy boots.
And I'm fighting hobos in the parking lot.
Yeah. Listen, though, I would watch that. 10 out of 10 would watch again. I'll be your Adrian.
It'll work.
It'll do. Listen, we all know I would be the one. Like, Jen, I'm going to need you to fight that hobo. All right. You got it, fam.
I will say I won't start the fight. But I'll finish it.
Oh, yes, you will.
All right, guys, I'm going to start with my sources. Wikipedia, under Cary Stayner. Hulu series Captive Audience, A Real American Horror Story. Criminal Minds fandom, Cary Stayner. SFgate.com news article, The Stunning Details of Stayner Confession. AETV, Real Crime, FBI agent recounts a repulsive request by serial killer Cary Stayner. And desert.com, details of Yosemite killer giving. So we got some good sources, lots of good information. So, given that, let's jump right in.
Ooh.
Now, as you'll recall, we covered Steven Stayner, who was kidnapped.
Before I tell you this, I went to lunch with my boss and got to meet her in person because I am a remote worker. And she is terrified of like true crime and horror movies and stuff. So we don't really talk about that. I respect it. And we were talking about some circumstance of a missing child. And I was like, oh, we just did one about somebody who went missing. I said, but I won't tell you the details. It's pretty rough. And she's like, well, just start and let's see. And I started going into the story because I had a magnificent person tell me about it. So I have all the deets. And eventually she goes, okay, we need to stop. I can feel a panic attack coming. Can we stop? And I was like, okay, sorry.
I forget that some people are like that about this stuff. Me, on the other hand, I am deep dive. The more information, I fall down a rabbit hole. This article leads me to this article, to this article. But I will say, quick side note, guys, I'm sorry. I know we're yabbering on a lot. I just want to express how heartbroken I was about them finding the little girl in Texas.
Yes.
That just got me. I started crying, literally crying. I walked out to tell JJ they found her, and I was crying. And, ones like that, at her home, and the FedEx driver just took her, and being the same age as my daughter, oh, dear God, that must be how people feel about hearing all stories that are like her.
Yeah, there are certain ones that are like extremely triggering. But, on the normal day, I will talk an uncomfortable amount about things. But then you hit stories like that, and it's just like, how can I even have any enthusiasm to tell the details and the interesting things in this timeline when something so tragic has happened?
Yeah. So our thoughts, well wishes, prayers go out to that family and hope they can heal over time.
It won't ever be the same, but
so to get more dark and depressing.
Wow. I was trying to think of something hopeful at the end, and I was
really
like,
bummed Jennifer out, guys.
looking for a good metaphor, and I was like, I am out. And then also I was thinking, you ever do thoughts and prayers? When someone says thoughts and prayers, I always think THOTS, thoughts and prayers. It's horrible. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And then I remember I have a lot of family trauma, and I was like, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
100%. All right, so back to it. So Cary Stayner, the brother of Stephen Stayner, who we covered, who was kidnapped, came home. The kidnapper basically got a slap on the wrist and told, don't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And
for holding him for 7 years and abusing him.
And then family trauma for everybody involved, no matter what part you played in it.
It's like, bro, I heard you have trauma. So I got trauma for your trauma on top of your traumas.
Here's some trauma.
Trauma.
For your trauma. So, of course, Cary Stayner, who was the older brother, experienced his own version of the trauma. You know, watching the family, living in the house, why the turmoil of the family. I can only imagine what that would be like, because I know myself would be a hot mess, and I would feel sorry for my other children if one of them were kidnapped. Yeah. And how the house would run thereafter.
Also, like, as children, it's very complex feelings that they're not used to. That having something traumatic like that is not necessarily a normal thing to experience. So imagine watching your parents wringing their hands, losing their minds over a lost sibling, and here you are almost kind of forgotten in your own little way. So it's just a compounded effect.
100%. Got it on the nose, Jennifer.
Caught a vibe.
So Cary Stayner was born and raised also in Merced, California. His 7-year-old brother, Stephen, was kidnapped by the child molester Kenneth Parnell in 1972. When Cary was 11 is when his brother was kidnapped. Cary later said that he felt neglected while his parents grieved over the loss of Stephen, which I can understand. I would venture to say if one of my children were kidnapped, the other two would experience some neglect as well. Yeah. Unintentional neglect. You know, I'm not faulting the parents.
And they
don't.
This. And at that age, they don't understand. And there's a lot of things that you don't understand truly why your parents felt that way until you become a parent yourself.
Oh, yeah, 100%. While Stephen escaped Parnell and returned home in 1980, he started receiving massive media attention immediately. True crime book, TV movie, both titled My First Name is Stephen, were all made about his ordeal. As we know, Stephen later went on to die in a motorcycle accident. And the following year, Cary's uncle, Jesse, with whom he was living at the time, was murdered. Cary later claimed that Jesse molested him around that same time that Stephen was kidnapped. So basically, Cary was 11 years old, and he was staying with the uncle. The uncle was like, fun uncle, and it was kind of like his escape place from everything that was going on in his home. He said one night that they were up watching movies, and it was time to go to sleep, and the uncle said, hey, you're just going to sleep in my room tonight, because there was other people at the home and whatnot. If you've ever been at a big family gathering where a lot of people are over, that's not unusual that you end up here in this room or whatnot with
somebody.
Especially
if you're close with family.
Right. And allegedly that night, Jesse molested Cary. Well, Cary later recounts that he wasn't even sure what happened was wrong because, you know, back in that time, things weren't spoken about as openly as they are now with your kids. And if we're just honest, like, molestation wasn't taken as seriously back then as it was now. You know, I told my mom that I was talking to her, and she was talking about in gym class, they used to do the trampoline, and they wore these little shorts. And I was like, middle school girls jumping on a trampoline in little shorts while the coaches watched you. I was like, try that today, and there would be a protest out front of school.
Absolutely.
I was like, you definitely grew up in the Chomo times, Mom. Because I'm just envisioning young girls going through puberty in little shorts jumping on a trampoline while the coach with the 70s porn star mustache watches them. It's mind-blowing to think that.
Soccer player, and she put on like a disguise to look like a man, and was talking some mad shit at these young soccer girls. Same stuff that she had been talked to, like when she was their age. I was just tearing them down. And these kids, instead of being quiet, walked up and said, I don't like your tone. What you're saying is not appropriate. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, 2022.
Right? And that wouldn't have happened then.
No, they would have been like, just put your head down. They're adults. Adults have the power. Do we need to know why? No, because they said so.
Right. And so Cary never said anything, just kind of dealt with it. Again, it's all allegedly because the uncle's dead and the allegations that he did this came out afterwards. So just to be very clear, don't know if it really happened or not. I hate to insinuate the victim is lying, but I also don't feel it's fair when the accused is not around to state if it happened or not.
And considering what the victim went on to do.
Correct. What happened with the uncle is they found him dead. He was shot with a shotgun.
But was it like Kurt Cobain style where he was like, it was suicide? And that was air quotations?
Well, they said he was involved in drugs, so they weren't sure if it were, someone came to rob him or whatnot. But there have always been insinuations that it was Cary that did it. But to this day, he still denies it.
I mean, is he denying the other stuff?
No.
Okay, yeah. I would say, unless it was, the only time they really deny when they're out and like they've already been convicted like that is ones that they're personally ashamed of.
Right. So many people felt that Cary's past with his brother's tragic life story affected him and possibly even played a part in him turning into a killer. And I'm 50-50 on that, trauma leads everybody down different roads. We grow from it, we get stronger from it, or we let it overtake our lives. If he had that trauma and he had the molestation on top of that, that is, some of the ingredients for serial killer soup. It is.
But there's a lot of people who also go through the things
and don't
do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I always feel like trauma can spearhead some events, but I think those thoughts and feelings were already there and there was already a miswiring inside of your head. It's kind of like when people get an autoimmune disease, it's always there, but something triggers it.
Yeah, it opens the door.
Right. I feel like that's how it is with the serial killer. It was always there. This just triggered the event to take place. But I am not a psychologist. I'm just sitting in a chair with my best friend
just
talking
Barbie
shit on
girls and Barbie world.
Yeah. But in reality, he had displayed several disturbing signs before Stephen disappeared. When Cary was only 3, he was diagnosed with trichotillomania.
Oh.
This is an obsessive compulsive disorder of one's own need to pull their own hair out. Mm-hmm. So they'll just rip out patches of hair.
I'm sure you've probably seen that, though, as a nurse, though. Have, come across every once in a while, once in a blue moon. I've only seen it one time, and I probably would have not known had I not worked in a barber shop. But the guy was like, listen, he said, I have trichotillomania, and he had a bald spot back here because he would pull it out.
I have a family member that did it when they were young, when they would be in stressful situations, but they outgrew it and don't do it anymore as an adult. But Cary continued to do it as an adult. So from the time he was 3 on, he was put on medication, but the condition stuck with him even during his high school years. He ended up with bald spots, which led to him being bullied. When he was 7 is when he first started having violent fantasies about abducting and killing women. He said his first violent fantasy that he could remember was he was at the grocery store with his mom and they were checking out and he was looking at the cashier behind the counter and he said he just wondered what it would be like to abduct her, kidnap her, and he also had these thoughts about a neighbor girl. And he had actually thought about kidnapping her and tying her up and just being able to do whatever he wanted. Now, at this time, they weren't necessarily of sexual nature because he was so young, but he just wanted, even at the age of 7, to bound and take control of people. Again, main ingredient in serial killer soup.
Yep.
That's like the ham bone and the beans that you just threw in there. It really gives it all the flavor.
I get mad, just like the next gal, when I'm in the grocery store and people have left their baskets willy-nilly out and are, putting stuff back in the wrong places. but never have I ever.
Never have I ever. I'll drink to that.
What would it be like if I kidnapped this bagger?
And my dark, twisted mind, pew, 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 to all these thoughts. It makes you wonder, have you ever been the person that's standing there and someone is sitting there thinking about what it would be like to tie you up and murder you, and you have no idea that person is standing there having those thoughts about you?
Becky.
Just to give y'all something to keep you up tonight from sleeping.
Becky, Letitia, Ann. Now I have a whole new complex.
You're welcome.
Listen, like I take sleeping medication and I will not drink if I'm taking it. Like not a glass of wine. And this is like 1 milligram. It's nothing, right? Because Michelle McNamara was drinking and taking sleep medication. She died in her sleep. Now, much higher volumes.
But nonetheless.
Did it give me a complex?
Of course it did.
Absolutely.
And I just gave you a new one. You're welcome.
Just be in the grocery store looking around. Watch it be Jimmy, though.
Oh, stop it. He's sitting behind me. I can't even see him.
Just turn around and like those eyes. He did look different.
I get those fearful thoughts when I see somebody staring at me too long or like watching me, and then I see him again in the grocery store. I'm like, what are you looking at? What are you thinking about? You want to kidnap me? Let's go. Bring it.
You ever seen the guy who's like, he's got sunglasses on and he's eating ice cream seductively in the mall? And he's looking at somebody, but has these sunglasses on. And most people are like flipping their hair and be like, "Oh,
not
married."
me.
And then eventually he gets up and throws out like the blind stick where he's put, and everyone's like so embarrassed. I would have been like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus."
Me too. I was like, sigh relief. He ain't looking at me because I'm hot. He's looking at me because he wants to wear my skin.
It sounds like he wants to peel my skin back. It puts the lotion on the skin, or he gets the hose again.
Exactly. That's my thoughts.
Hey, Buffalo Bell, calm down.
I never think someone's looking at me like she's ridiculously hot. I think they want to make
Besides JJ, that's it.
They want to make a lampshade out of my skin.
You would make a good lampshade, to be fair.
Warning, there's stretch marks. It's not going to be the prettiest up there.
You're just a tiger, baby.
Okay, they want tiger skin. I got you. I'm your girl.
Same.
So back to our story. Academically, he was very bright, and he was placed in gifted classes in school. But this didn't stop him from having fantasies about women being gang raped before he was a teenager.
Oof.
He even exposed himself to a friend of his sister's while she was over on a sleepover. Yeah. At the age of 18, Stayner was voted the most creative student of his graduating class for his cartoon contributions to the school newspaper. So apparently he was a very gifted artist and great at drawings. He would make them for people. He did them for the school newspaper and was very, very good at it. After graduating high school, Stayner worked as a window installer at a glass company. Over the following years, Stephen's abduction and escape continued to garner attention. The more attention Stephen got, the more frustrated Cary became. Cary shared one day with a friend a fantasy he had. So they're like chilling at lunch, okay? I want you to picture this, everybody. I want you to picture you're in the break room at work, you're having your lunch, you're messing around on your phone, you're not really paying attention.
Some TikTok.
Yeah. And then a coworker's like, hey. And so you put your phone down and look at him. Hey, what's up? They start telling you a story. They share with you that they wonder what it would be like to get into a truck and drive it inside and kill everybody inside and then burn the place to the ground. You can't see Jennifer's face, but you guys probably look similar too. And the coworker's like, say, what?
I'd been like, you know what? Let me start out and tell you how much I appreciate all that you've done for me. I always felt like we was thick as thieves. I'm just going to say right now, if you need anything, I'm your girl. If you feel like that's going to happen, though, give me a heads up.
I may have a dark sense of humor if you haven't figured that out. And I may have said once or twice to employees as they quit, hey, why don't you throw a match at the front door and burn this place down on your way out? I need the day off. Ha ha, kiki. Maybe I shouldn't say things like that. It is 2022. So, the coworker kind of just thought, he's having a bad day. He's really pissed off. He's like, fuck this. I'm going to run everybody over and burn the place down. I've never said to that extent.
Yeah, that sounds very specific. I'm just saying, like, burn this mother down or, like, fuck this place.
Yeah.
But when you start getting in, I'm going to get in my truck and I'm going to drive in here kill all of you motherfuckers, and then light it.
Although, catch me on the right day, I'd be like, bet I'm in the passenger seat. Shotgun!
Fire in the disco!
JK, 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 FBI, JK.
Please calm down.
Because I know you watching me. I'm on your website way too much.
We are on probably multiple lists, and none of them are going to be for yachts.
Nope. In September of 1989, Stephen, who had been married and had the children, died in a car accident. The following year, Jesse Stayner, whom Cary lived with, was shot to death in his house. So when Cary's uncle, who allegedly molested him, Cary moved in with him later on as an adult. Again, it shows you some mental health issues because, when I say mental health issues, I mean the lack of, like, he had his hair pulling out in his fantasies, so we know there's something misfiring up there, not the way that it should, because you shouldn't be having those thoughts. The hair pulling, that can come with stress. But then you were abused and you move in with your abuser. And it shows the lack of, not again to fault his parents because they had their own stuff going on, but it does show he did have that neglect as a child to get him the resources that he needed.
Right.
And to be there for him to divulge to you, I was molested, because now later on he moves in with the abuser. And we see those kinds of things happen with people who aren't given the correct therapies they need. And it's unfortunate because it just messes with their mind, and this abuser and abuse becomes a form of love to them.
Yeah.
And it is truly heartbreaking. Like, right now I feel bad for him. So
at this moment, but I'm sure that's about to change.
Of course.
Spoiler alert.
The murder has yet to ever be solved of his uncle. And Stayner did become a suspect after his arrest. In 1991, Cary tried to gas himself to death with carbon monoxide. And in 1995, he was admitted to a mental institution after claiming to have a nervous breakdown, but was released after receiving treatment. So Cary did try some medications in his life for his thoughts and whatnot. At one point, he was like, okay, like, I shouldn't be thinking like this. This isn't fucking right.
I've talked to my friends, and this is not that they're not on the same page. I am the common denominator, which kudos on you for realizing.
So he got on medication, and he said the medication made the thoughts go away, gone, completely erased. But he stopped taking the medication because the thoughts went away. And
he probably enjoyed them.
Well,
to a degree, or maybe they've made him feel at home.
He said it was more of like a the way they made him feel, in the sense of, think about when, Christmas is coming up, whether you're excited or you're excited for your kids, you're like, I'm so ready for it. Not necessarily you getting the gifts if you're younger and you're still the person getting gifts, not spending all your money on your children. I understand you're excited for yourself. I'm excited for my kids because nobody gets me anything. No, I'm just kidding. Not to make this about me.
Don't mean to make it about me, but hint, hint.
And imagine if all of a sudden you started taking a pill and those feelings went away and you felt nothing. It's kind of like when people who have mental health, they schizophrenics and stuff, everything becomes normal. It is like a cut
There's no
off.
highs and no lows anymore. And even if they're highs and lows, sometimes normally people have them. They just don't have them constantly like they do. And when you take them to get way all together, it's like adrenaline junkies.
So he stopped taking the medication. In 1997, Stayner was hired as a handyman at the Cedar Lodge Motel in El Portal, California, just outside the Highway 140 entrance to Yosemite National Park. He was said to be a well-liked employee, doing all kinds of work, ranging from cleaning services to fixing electrical and mechanical problems. And they did say that he was very helpful. He would help do anything. Was always there. He liked working out there because it was a more secluded area, more like on his own. Obviously, if you can't garner from his life so far, wasn't the best in social interactions. So it's kind of like, this is where he needs to be. Fast forward to February of 1999. 42-year-old Carol Sund, her daughter 15-year-old Julie Sund, and Julie's friend 16-year-old Argentina exchange student Silviana Pelosi were on a visit to Yosemite National Park. The three went missing after having dinner at Cedar Lodge. On a whim, Cary Stayner abducted and killed all three women. He killed Carol and Silvina on the 15th of February, and their bodies were found a month later in the trunk of Sund's Pontiac rental car by James Powers as he was driving through a heavily wooded forest areas. The bodies were burned beyond recognition and were identified using dental records. Julie was killed a day later on the 16th, according to Cary. Her body was found 1 week after her mother and Silvina's bodies were found. What happened was they were in the hotel and Cary Stayner came and knocked on the door. And the mom wouldn't open the door. And he said, I'm the maintenance man. There's a leak in the room above you. And I have to come in and make sure there's no damage through here and see if there's anything going on with the pipes down here that could potentially cause the problem up there.
Mm-hmm.
All sounds legit, right?
Right.
She was still very hesitant to let him in.
It sounds like a girl like us, you know?
Yeah, with two teenage girls. He said, well, I can go get the manager and he can come down here with me if that would make you feel more comfortable. Well, him saying that made her feel more comfortable. So she let him in.
Ah, come on, gal.
Yeah. So he came in, he went into the bathroom, he tinkered around for a little bit like he was fixing some stuff, and then he came out with a gun. He tied up all the girls, and while they're all tied up and subdued in there, he kills the mother first. Well, Silvina, the foreign exchange student, couldn't get her shit together. When I say that, I am not being derogatory. She was just a mess, crying.
Hyperventilating.
Yeah. And he kept telling her, Bri, you need to chill. You need to chill. You need to chill. Well, she wouldn't chill. So he takes her in the bathroom and he kills her. Julie, on the other hand, was more composed and had her stuff together. So he takes her out with him. He drives her around. He ends up raping her. And he ends up telling her how much he loves her and how he wants to keep her around. Yeah. And he said he thought about just keeping her, but he knew that it was too much of a risk to keep her. So he ends up driving her up to where he's going to kill her. He rapes her again and then tells her that he loves her, and then he kills her in a different area. So after they found the car and the girls' bodies, they still couldn't find Julie's body. So a week after the mother and Silvina were found, he wrote a note and sent it to the police with a hand-drawn map indicating the location of Julie. The top of the note read, "We had fun with this one." And he said he put "we"
to confuse.
Mm-hmm. Investigators went to the location depicted on the map, and they found the remains of Julie. She'd been wrapped in a pink blanket from the Cedar Lodge, and her throat had been cut. Stayner would later admit he sexually assaulted the teenage girl. He would also admit to attempting to disguise his handwriting and using someone else's DNA to seal the envelope. So he said he went and found a hobo on the street and paid him $20 to, spit in a cup so that he could use their spit to seal the envelope. Ugh. Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I hope he threw that cup away, didn't reuse it. I don't know. Something about it makes me want to throw up.
Oh, he probably saved the spit so that he could use it again later on if he was going to do...
Painting it onto the victim's body.
I mean, I never want to give killers credit, but damn, that was smart.
It's that show that just came out. The guy who's on death row and he helps solve cases.
Oh, I watched it too. Stanley Tucci's the guy.
Yeah. So the woman, she's in the spoiler alert. You might want to fast forward if you haven't watched it yet. Not that I have told you what it's called, but
oh, why can't I remember?
The Watcher or something like that. I don't remember. It's a word, the something. But homegirl fucking pulls her hair out and cuts herself up. And she's like, my DNA is in every corner of this basement. And I was like, yes, bitch.
When she did that, I was like,
spitting everywhere.
That's my girl.
DNA here, DNA there.
God, what is it? Inside Man.
The Inside Man.
Check it out, y'all. It's good.
It's
only 4 episodes, but it's great. So when detectives first began interviewing employees of the Cedar Lodge Motel, where the first 3 victims had been staying just before their deaths, Cary was interviewed. Stayner was not considered a suspect at any point because he had no criminal history, and they said he was cool as a cucumber during the interview. Like, he gave them 0 red flags.
Okay, that's exactly what would give me a red flag.
Jennifer, you can't accuse everybody.
I'm just saying, if you turn your head around, that motherfucker over there looks suspicious. And we've been together 10 years.
Don't be so suspicious. They even said later, after Stayner is caught, that they were still shocked because he had given these detectives no pause whatsoever that he could have been involved, which is even more terrifying, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That you are able to maintain your
emotionally
composure.
Just be like, eh.
Yeah.
That was very scientific, right? Just, eh.
100%. The last science article I read, that was in there.
eh.
The police.
That's like just one level up below.
And just 2 below. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. The police then, in very 1980s fashion, 1990s fashion, went out and rounded up everybody that had committed a crime.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you look like a likely suspect. I jaywalked.
He did it. He did it.
Kind of animal. Jaywalks.
I just love the way that it's like, okay, so you've assaulted someone, you robbed somebody, you raped somebody. Come on down, you're all suspects. Like, rape, I get it. Robbery, maybe. But just because you got in a fight with somebody doesn't mean that you went out and murdered 3 women. Even with no conviction or evidence that any of these people were guilty, the police and press released a news bulletin stating they were confident they had the killer in custody. Everybody go home, chill out, unlock your doors again. It's cool, we got them.
You can unhide your kids and unhide your wife. We're all safe now.
Direct quote. It was not long, though, before they were proven wrong. And I feel like, God, so back in the day, but it's like, Jesus, I hope y'all were able to sleep okay after you told everyone it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. And then more people were murdered because they believed you that it was cool, it's cool, it's cool.
I mean, you guys, what I said, but what I meant by it's cool, it's cool, it's cool is for this guy. I wasn't stating it for every. I mean, I don't have that kind of. Do I look like Superman?
So on July 22nd, 1999, the decapitated body of 26-year-old Joey Ruth Armstrong was found behind her house in a stream. Eyewitnesses said they saw a powder blue 1972 International Scout parked outside the cabin where she was staying. People who lived in the area knew this car belonged to Cary Stayner. So this young girl was the opposite of Jennifer and I. She was an outdoorsy gal.
Oh, yeah.
Out there climbing, hiking, going on waterfall hikes, surviving them.
Just surviving. Out here fighting for my life. It's 75 degrees. It might as well be fucking hell.
Might as well. So she was outside going in and out. She was about to go out of town and she's putting some stuff in her car. She's watering her vegetables and shit. And
okay, second part, fucking vegetables. Water. Bitch, I have aloe and I've almost killed that.
Thank you. And he was watching her and he went up to her outside. She was by herself. There was nobody there. And then he proceeded to rape, murder her, and decapitate her. Like I said, they'd seen the car. They knew it belonged to Cary Stayner. And Cary Stayner not only worked as an employee at the Cedar Lodge, but he was also living in an apartment above the restaurant. FBI agents John Bowles and Jeff Rennick found Stayner staying at the Laguna del Sol nudist resort in Wilton, where he was arrested and taken to Sacramento for questioning.
Listen, there was a nudist colony when I worked at the sheriff's office. It was like middle of nowhere fucking Georgia. Nudist colony. And they would send the rookies out there. And the rookies, they would walk right up to the car. So imagine being in a Crown Victoria and looking to your left and just an old saggy set of balls.
Swinging in the wind.
I heard you guys had some trouble. No, a towel over the shoulder, as
of course. Yeah.
Because we're not animals, okay?
Thank you. Ball sweat's got to be dried somehow.
It's called being polite.
Thank you, manners.
So just Cary Stayner. I don't know why that's so hilarious. It's like, you've ever seen like these pictures of or documentaries of nudist camps. It's never anyone sexy, okay?
Never.
It's always somebody. It's an old white man.
Of course.
With back hair.
Yes.
Hair coming out of his ears.
Yes. Paint a picture, Jen. Paint a picture. You're 100% right.
Me, when I'm going to be old, I'm going to have the pancake titties. You roll them up, throw them in your bra, you know what I mean?
And usually that old hairy man at the nudist camp is the retired gym coach that watched the girls jump on the trampoline.
Ugh.
Yeah. So shortly after Stayner was detained, he told the arresting agents over pizza he'd confessed to the murders.
Pizza makes me really talkative too.
But only if they would provide him with a sizable collection of child pornography. Pause for dramatic effect.
Sir, you don't know how to bargain, do you?
Okay, sir. So I know when you go to a car dealership, you'd be lowballing them so they'll come down on the offer. Sir, you went expectations too high. Too
First
high.
of all, is this a trap? Because it's illegal.
Are you trying to have me be your celly?
Right.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Not today.
First of all, they're going to want to know where I got it from. And when I say my house, first red flag.
First red flag. Every red flag. You might as well be like, you know what? I will take a brick of cocaine that's in evidence in exchange. Is that shit going to happen? What? No.
But you got a better chance of that happening.
Yeah, you got a way better chance to get some booger sugar.
Sorry.
You want to get a large,
sizable
collection of child pornography.
He didn't even can I just get one picture of Sally from around the corner?
Can you draw something out, like a stick figure that's small? Jesus Christ.
He's an
sizable
artist. Draw it yourself, Cary.
I wonder if the officer was so when we say a couple is two, several is 3 or 4. What do we mean by sizable?
Okay, I know you guys are on the edge of your seats waiting to hear what they said. But they said no.
Oh my God. Did not see that coming. It was the deal of a century.
Stayner did not get his wish. But then he was like, it's all right. I knew you guys were going to say no. All right. So get your legal pads out. I got you, bro. And he told him anyway. He literally said, I was just going to see if y'all were going to say yeah, but I knew you wouldn't. But I'm going to tell you anyway.
It was worth a shot, man.
You
don't know till you ask.
He was literally like that during the confession. Just very nonchalant. He was all a fucking joke. It was just a story he was telling about a movie he watched.
Could you imagine being the officer? I would vomit afterwards. Him just being I had to see if you would do it.
That's one of those days you come home from work and you just walk over and pour some whiskey in a cup and your spouse is long day and you're yeah, and they just know not even to talk to you, to just get the fuck out the way.
And then you start drinking it right out of the bottle.
Yeah. And it's okay. You want me to get you some a sizable amount of child porn or something to help you relax you?
Sizable. Somebody give me a sizable amount. Oh my God.
Girl, right?
I'm gonna start calling everything I would like a sizable amount of spaghetti.
Yes, me too.
I would like a sizable amount of coffee.
I would like a sizable amount of truffle fries.
Oh my God.
I know, right? All right, we can't do this again. Last time we talked about food too. During his interrogation, Stayner shocked the agents when he confessed not only to Armstrong's decapitation, but to the murders of Pelosi and the sons and sending the map for Julie's son's body, because they still at this point did not think he was involved in that. Also, the murders were drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
These two were tied up and burned in the trunk of a car, and then the little girl was somewhere.
Yeah, the MOs are different.
Yeah. This lady her head was decapitated. And so although they were all females, the way he killed them and disposed of the bodies was drastically different.
It wasn't, that part wasn't the ritual for him, I'm sure.
And in case you guys forgot, they'd already caught the person for the other murders. Remember, they rounded up all the yahoos in town, and
everybody's safe.
So they were like, "What? So we need to go release the town that we just put in the jail? Uh-oh!
Whoops!
Somebody call Andy and Barney down at the jail. Tell them to release them."
Now, I would never have ever wished more than right now that I could do an impression of Barney Fife.
Me neither.
Sorry, I let you down today. I let you down.
And I'm glad that you caught what I was laying down there and picked it up, Jennifer.
Do you know what? And if you don't know this reference,
tell it, Jennifer.
Go on home. Your mama's waiting for you.
She is.
Your baby. Your child.
And you better have both hands on the steering wheel and not be texting.
10 and 2. 10 and 2. You don't know the struggle of having a CD organizer on your visor so heavy it's in your line of vision.
Thank you. And trying to get the right CD while you're driving.
Right? And not scratch that shit.
Sam.
Don't even look at it wrong. Don't even look at it wrong.
Hit a bump and it skips in your CD. Yeah, I don't know.
They said anti-skip. Bullshit.
Struggle is real. So when they searched his vehicle, it yielded evidence providing him linked to Armstrong. In an FBI video, Cary was taken to Joey's house and explained everything he did. Okay. So the next quotes are some snippets from the blog about the FBI interview. I was like, why do I say snippets from the blog from FBI interview? And I flipped it over. Oh, that's why, because that's what it is.
Look, it's like... Don't you love it when you write something long ago and then you go to read it again? You're like, oh, look at me. Look at me. I am one hell of a writer.
This is going to be my last pizza, he said. I tried to buck him up. Told him it was a long way from that, should it ever come.
Wait. Listen, if that's not a warning for you guys, if you want pizza, don't go to prison. Just saying.
Don't.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it.
Nothing's worth losing pizza
Nope.
or hot wings.
Yeah, and fries. Can't do it. Never got to see Star Wars, he continued, as random thoughts of things he enjoyed in freedom began popping into his mind. It's weird because I love my life so much, he said, without a hint of irony. One minute, he said he'd be enjoying time with friends, marveling at nature, and thinking high-minded thoughts. And the next minute, it's like I could kill every person on the face of the earth. It just mentally tortures you, he went on to say, constantly back and forth like a tennis match.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
I mean, I feel the way you do, but I'm also so fascinated by mental health. And I imagine it's got to be a horrible feeling. I mean, it's like depression. Like 1 minute you're happy and you're looking at your life and you're loving it. And then the next minute you're so sad and you're like, why do I feel this way? Like,
you
I
don't
have
a
no reason to feel this way.
Yeah.
And to mentally struggle with those very dark, twisted thoughts and be sitting there playing poker with your friends and life is good. I'm happy. I'm smoking my cigar, having a drink, enjoying time. And then you get in the drive home and you're like, oh, I could tie that woman up and rape her and kill her. And know that it's wrong, but you can't make it stop. It's got to be torture.
It's like not having that impulse control, but seeing that inside your head and not being able to stop it. Like,
some of the disturbing details in the confession tape included stating days before he killed the 3 women, he had assembled a murder kit in his backpack consisting of a rope, a roll of black duct tape, a gun, and a long serrated knife. If you don't know what that is, that's like your bread knife, the serrated ones.
Mm. The one that you never use in your drawer.
I use that to cut bread all the time. I'm dead ass serious. I love it. It's the
What
best
you
bread cutting knife.
like a whole ass loaf of bread?
Yeah. I'll make my homemade garlic bread, so I'll get like a loaf of French bread and cut it up.
Yeah.
And I love my bread knife for that.
God,
You try to use another knife and it
bread
just
so much. Oh my god.
Oh, that's right. You can't eat it.
I'm gonna figure it out one day.
In the tapes, Stayner described how he had planned to rape and kill his girlfriend and her 8 and 11-year-old daughters a year before he settled upon the sons in Sylvina. So he had a girlfriend. Jennifer's
That
face.
was
when I looked up.
horrifying.
Yeah, I know. You like the way I didn't even segue into that. Just bam, hit you right in the face with it. Mushroom stamp. Pa!
right in the kisser.
So he had been dating this girl, living with her and her kids. Everything's kosher. Everything's dandy. From what I could find, no reports of any like abuse to the girls or abuse to her or anything like that. He just decided, you know what? They're going to be my first victims. Literally, like, just decided it one day. So
Very BTK like. You know what? This girl right here.
the day he went to do it, he had his murder kit in the car, driving over there. Let's do the damn thing. He got there and there just happened to be a caretaker there on the property taking care of some things. And he said it like scared the shit out of him because there wasn't supposed to be anybody there. He was there to do it. So it was almost like when you say, man, I was going to go to that party and I had a gut feeling not to go. And then something happened and I couldn't. And I just knew, like I got a sign.
Yeah.
He felt like it was a sign. So then he was like, okay, I shouldn't do this.
I saw the sign.
So
if you ever wonder what it's like being in my brain, it's just like this.
all the time, all day, every day.
Murder, murder, murder. Random song.
Murder, 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 food.
You know where our priorities are.
Thank you. Then on February 14th, 1999, he stalked 4 young girls that were staying at the Cedar Lodge, but he backed off again because they were accompanied by a man. So he's all about some women, but bring a man, he's a little bitch.
Mm-mm.
The next night is when Stayner zeroed in on Carol's son and her 2 teenage children after spying on them through a window at the lodge.
That's not very cash money.
Mm-mm. And then, as I'd said before, he went to the room about a maintenance problem, said there was a water leak, and was able to eventually convince her to let him in.
Listen, there is no convincing me. This joke over here, though, will let anybody in the fucking house. We had a water purification guy come in. He was judging my cleaning and everything.
Excuse me,
my
sir.
cleaning.
That
my cleaning.
I could eat off the floor of your home.
I literally have blisters on the side of my feet from steam cleaning my grout last weekend.
I seen those when we were walking up the stairs, and I wasn't sure if they were like blisters from something or if you were now shooting up drugs in the side of your foot, because that's where my mind went.
You know what? For you to think that I'm that like hardcore fun, thank you. I'll take it. No. I was like, before I realized, I was like, oh, this hurts. Why? Oh, fuck. I got blisters.
Were you
And I
wearing
was
your
like, how
Birkenstocks?
lame. No, I was just on my floor and I kept like crab walking all over the place and just.
Jesus Christ, Jennifer. Jimmy, why do you let her work this hard and not treating her like the queen she is?
That's right. That's right. She's got me. She got my back.
But in his defense, I mean, have you seen what a badass motherfucker is? He could take anybody that went in this house. That's why he lets anybody in. He would defend you to the death.
Listen, this guy would not leave. Like, when you give polite hints and you're like, okay, so I gotta do this now. And they're like, and they don't take it. Finally, I was like, I'm not buying your shit. You can go now. Jimmy's face was like, what the fuck? You did this, Jimmy.
They act like, but they appreciate that because they don't have to deal with that.
Their steak will never be wrong.
Exactly. Never. Like I said, he came from the bathroom. He was holding a gun, telling them he was desperate, bound and gagged the women with duct tape, and put the girls in the bathroom. When he strangled son, he used a 3-foot piece of rope, taking 5 minutes. I didn't realize how hard it is to strangle a person, Stayner said on the tape. It's not easy. I had very little feeling. It was like performing a task. He had very little feeling
of all,
why he strangled
he's sitting
them,
there trying to copycat Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper did that first, sir. He've already shocked us with that comment.
Taken. Next.
Plagiarism. We take it seriously.
After placing Sund into the trunk, yes, we do, of the rented Pontiac Grand Prix, Stayner ripped and cut the clothes off the two girls. He tried to get them to perform sex acts on each other, but he became so irritated by
That is such a man.
Isn't it?
What?
I'd be like, this is me, and I'm just going to be real with y'all. I wouldn't survive this because I would look at him and be like, fuck off.
No.
Just go ahead and kill me. I'm not doing all this shit so the end can be the same.
We go back to the grave, digging your own grave. Mm-mm. You dig it. Fuck you. I'm not doing any manual. Look at these hands. Do you think that I can't even clean my floor without blistering my ass.
First of all, I don't do manual labor in a non-hostage situation. Damn sure ain't doing it for you.
Damn shame. Mm-mm.
And not picking at any victims that did, because honestly, who knows? Maybe I would if I thought it was going to make me. Okay, a grave. No, I'm not doing it because obviously I'm not going to live. Maybe,
that'd be the one thing that I would be like,
Maybe other things I would be more persuaded to do in the hopes that I could garner your trust and I could live, but not the grave, because it's clear I'm not getting out of this alive.
You know what? You want an omelet? I make killer omelets. Do you listen? You need me to iron something? I am a woman. You know how us ladies are.
You need a sandwich? That's my calling in life.
I will sit there and I will do those kind of things. Digging my grave, though?
Hard pass.
Not a vibe.
Okay.
Sorry.
So he became so irritated by Sylvina's sobbing that's when he led her into the bathroom and strangled her as she knelt in the bathtub. More sexual assaults on Julie followed, not just in the motel, but in the room next door, as there was nobody there. In the room next door, he took her friend's body so she wouldn't see it, so he could keep her chilled, thinking, I've just locked her up in the other room while I'm doing this to you, to keep Julie calm. Because, if she knew her friend was dead and her mom was dead, she probably wasn't going to be as submissive to him as he was hoping if she thought they were still alive. She's like, oh,
shit, no. It's getting real. Now it's...
Right. Finally, he left Julie on the bed, tied up and watching TV while he cleaned up the crime scene and dumped Sylvina in the trunk of the car with the mother. It felt like I was in control for the first time in my life, Stayner said on tape. During the 6-hour ordeal, Julie asked him if he was going to kill her. Stayner said he just didn't reply. The accused killer's cleaning of the room was so complete, he even wiped hairs off the bedsheet. An FBI agent asked him on tape why he did that, and he replied, I watch the Discovery Channel.
Listen, I don't want to compare myself to Cary Stayner, but that is exactly something I would have said.
Me too.
Like, bitch.
Me too.
You're not. I watch Law and Order. I watch Cold Justice. Okay.
I watch Criminal Minds.
I
watch CSI.
Come on now. This is amateur.
I watch Fatal Vows.
Is it amateur hour? No.
I watch Lieutenant Kinda.
I watch those reenactments that Kelly does.
They'd be like, okay, enough. I got it. You cited your sources, Becky. Stayner said after all of that cleaning and he was satisfied there was no evidence, he wrapped Julie in the pink blanket and put her in the rental car and drove off aimlessly. I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing, he said on tape, but I just kept driving and driving. Along the way is when he came to like Julie, who Stayner said her name was Sarah. She was a very likable girl, he said, crying on tape. She was very calm.
So he was just like, your name's Sarah now?
Yeah. You don't have your crazy cat. Pick it up and put it on.
Of all the names, you couldn't come up with something cooler? Like, Sarah.
And, how, very, mind swap, okay, all of a sudden we live in this new world where you've kidnapped this girl and her name is Sarah and you guys are BFFs and gonna fall in love.
But, bro, can you call me something cool like Daenerys?
Queen of Thorns?
Queen of Thorns?
Come on.
Sarah.
If you want me to dig my own grave, you're going to need to do better than that.
I'm going to need you to get on my level. Thank you.
I hope you guys know the humor is just to keep from being sad and crying inside all the time. He drove to Lake Don Pedro, just east of Modesto. He parked, carried her up a trail, and placed her on the ground. She was still bound by tape. I told her I wish I could keep her, he said, and then he sexually assaulted her again.
Oh, that kind of fucks up my memory of Casper. Can I keep you? Now it's Cary's. Fuck. God damn it.
That's another gift I left for you there today, Jennifer. Along with the fear anytime someone stares at you too much, they're imagining your death. Jimmy is all the time, but...
Bro, I can't even take a shower without that heavy breathing in the background.
His face is pressed against the clear shower curtain. Finally, he brushed her hair, fanned it out on the ground beneath her head. I told her I loved her, he said, and then he cut her throat. She made a hand gesture to him, which he interpreted as her asking him to finish her off. And he looked away while she died over the next 15 to 20 seconds. I didn't want her to suffer the way the other two did, Stayner said. Leaving her body lying under the brush, he then drove the car where the bodies of Carol's son and Selena Pelosi in the trunk to the long barn, left it, and returned 2 days later with a can of gasoline and lit it on fire.
He has something about some women. Is there like a trend on the women that he's like, where when he comes up with these, because it wasn't just one time that he did this.
It was just these two incidents, these 4 women that are known, but he is suspected in other murders that happened in Yosemite, but no, he never.
Like, you're an accessory. I'm just killing you, but something about you, and I love you, and I don't want you to suffer, even though I'm going to make you suffer. That sounds like the worst. Thank you.
Well, he said it took so long to strangle the other 2. He didn't want it to take that long for her to die.
Like,
so
what
that's why he
her?
cut her throat.
Where did that come from? Not a psychologist, though.
No.
Just a girl doing a podcast with her best friend.
That's it.
Damn it.
Before he lit the car on fire, he scratched into the hood, "We have Sarah." I don't know.
First of all, you didn't even use the correct name.
Remember, that's what he named her. So
Well,
it was
I'd be
correct,
like,
Jennifer.
But if he's wanting to, like, now you just confuse it. Oh, well, that was
That's
the point.
there.
That. Okay, I was behind. Sorry.
Good job, Detective Jennifer. Good job. So you could be a detective.
I could be. I just had to work through it.
You would be out there looking at that and be like, "We have Sarah, but her name's not even." Oh, he's trying to confuse us, dumbass.
I got you. I got you.
Good try. Good try. But we already know.
But you just didn't realize you're fucking with the detective who thoroughly enjoys CSI.
And the Discovery Channel.
Mm-hmm.
I too, Cary. I too watch it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The confession provides a further look at what drove Stayner to kill as he saw Armstrong outside her remote cabin, loading her car for her trip to San Francisco. Stayner, who was 39, said he knew that what he did was wrong and acknowledged it was a cold-blooded act, but said he just lost control. Initially, he didn't intend to kill, but as he watched the nature guide walking back and forth to her car and watering her plants, it occurred to him that she was alone, and the thought of killing her entered his mind. He walked up and began talking to Armstrong, pulled a gun, forced her into the house, saying he was going to rob her. He bound her mouth and hands with duct tape and forced her into his trunk with the intent of raping and murdering her. Armstrong made an effort to escape her killer, diving headfirst out of the window of the moving truck and running for her life.
Oh.
Stayner quickly tackled her, drug her deeper into the woods of Yosemite as she vigorously fought back, and he slit her throat. He said Armstrong had tried to pin her chin to her chest to block the knife. So this poor little baby fought with everything she had in her. Guess he learned she wasn't going to dig her grave. She said, fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
I love when I say that, please take it the right way, just the spirit of someone like that to do
Survival.
everything. Yeah. I just wish it turned out differently for her. I wish she would have jumped out and another car came by or something,
It's just, I think a lot of it has to do with vulnerability and the control that these people have over their victims. So to see a victim take that control back and deny that killer or something, I think that's where.
Yes, that is exactly it. To see her tell him, fuck you, we're not doing this your way. We're going to fucking do it my way.
You're not going to be able to enjoy this.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it hard for you.
The end may be the end, but we are not doing it on your terms.
I'm going out fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs and fellatio. Just kidding about the fellatio.
This is so dark and I love it so much.
I love when I shock you with those things. Okay. He dragged her further into the forest, down a hill. Fast forward if you don't like really graphic stuff. Put his foot on her head and pushed it back and then began cutting her head off.
Okay, I don't have that option to fast forward, so.
After the second cutting, she was still struggling slightly, and I grabbed her leg and started dragging her, and a few seconds later, she went totally limp. He tried to cover his tracks, but said it was difficult to hide the blood of trail with pine needles and dirt. He went back to his truck and then decided he would return to the creek where he had dragged her body and cut her head off. He said he tried to hide the head in some reeds and briefly considered keeping it. So you felt pretty good that you were going to be able to pull this off? One of the interrogators asked. I didn't feel good about it, he replied. I say it's like matter-of-factly I was doing this, It's like I'm a split personality.
Okay.
I'm sure that's what the detective thought too. Cary was also interviewed by Tim Rollins and openly confessed and told him about the murders. The first thing Cary said upon Rollins entering the visitation of the prison was, let me clarify who Tim Rollins is. He was a news anchor.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that Cary said to him was, before I say anything, I want you to contact producers in Los Angeles because I want a movie of the week made about my story. And here's the irony in those words, and that one sentence is such like a key, in my opinion, to what this all returns to.
Mm-hmm.
When his brother was kidnapped, they made a movie of the week about him.
Mm-hmm.
And now Cary wants a movie of the week made about him.
It's like, yeah, I earned it.
Earned it.
No, you did not, Cary.
Many people still believe the motive for Cary becoming a murderer was wanting the attention after being in the shadow of his brother. And the above statement, like I said, that's kind of like, you were asking literally for what your brother got, but, you earned it a different kind of, did you earn it? Cary openly admitted that he'd been fantasizing about murdering women since he was 7 years old, long before the abduction of his brother even happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, he was 11 when his brother was abducted. He started fantasizing when he was 7. So before any of this trauma that you want to say is what created it, he was having these thoughts before. And that's kind of where... It might have
changed the trajectory. It might have changed what he was going to do procedurally, but it didn't change the fact that it was likely to happen.
Right. And that's why I think trauma only plays a small part, and I feel like it may be the catalyst for the thoughts you already had and the misfiring of the wires that you already had.
Mm-hmm.
Cary openly admitted that he would have kept killing until he was caught or he had killed himself, that he had zero intentions of stopping. According to a psychiatrist, who for some reason my type font hyphenated that, who would later evaluate Stayner for his defense team, the Stayner family tree was riddled with mental illness and sexual abuse going back 5 generations.
Damn.
Yeah. According to the psychiatrist's report, Stayner's father, Delbert Stayner, was ordered into therapy for molesting his own daughters. In addition to her father's unwanted advances, one of the Stayner sisters said that Cary started peeping on her and inappropriately touching her when she was 10. A cousin said that Stayner spied on her and his sisters and a neighbor girl, hiding under their beds and videotaping them in the bathroom in the bedroom. And for any of you that are younger than me and Jennifer, video cameras back then, you had to hold on your shoulder.
They were like, people always see people like the in the Adidas suits and they're holding like the boom boxes. They're probably about that fucking size.
No shit. Google it.
Fucking all that for a little VHS tape.
So
that will still not work.
Imagine him trying to hide under the bed with that video camera and videotape. Not to mention they had a big red flashing light when they were recording. Could you imagine
how loud it would have been with the tape going?
Yes. Hey, Cary, we can see you and hear you. Not so good. One relative described child sexual abuse as like a family sickness because it had been going on for so many generations. As the older brother, Stayner felt an undeserved sense of responsibility for not protecting Stephen from harm. He said that was probably one of his biggest issues as a child, which, you know, parents feel the same way when something happens to their kid, as though you should have done something. You should have been there to protect them, but you know, you can't. He did actually admit to having a lot of pain and inner trauma from that growing up, which I get. He also felt more directly responsible. Stayner told another psychiatrist, Park Dees, who was hired by the prosecution to evaluate whether he was sane at the time, he committed the Yosemite murders, that as a child, he worried that the obsessive thoughts he had about holding the neighbor girl against her will somehow caused Stephen to be kidnapped. So he felt like because he'd had those thoughts as a child, and then a few years later that his brother was kidnapped, that it was like a karma, a punishment for having those thoughts. It's funny how, like, at some moments he seems to be so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and then the next minute,
logical.
He has so much inner reflection, and logic to his, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like this is probably because this and like.
Stayner was convicted on August 27th, 2002. He was tried in federal court for Armstrong's murder since it occurred on federal land. To attempt to avoid a possible death sentence, he pleaded guilty to premeditated first-degree murder and felony first-degree murder, kidnapping resulting in death, and attempted aggravated sexual abuse resulting in death. Stayner was sentenced to die at San Quentin State Prison in California, but California's last execution was held in 2006, and in 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom placed a statewide moratorium on capital punishment. He is still alive today, sitting on death row in a cell only inches bigger than a king-size bed. And that, my friends, is the dark side of the Stayner family.
Oof. I mean, it feels like both of them are different shades of dark.
Right? Could you imagine being the mama of the two boys? I don't think I'd have survived him.
No. Like, it'd be what... First off, the whole thing, you know, the brother, that is, wow.
Not only did your child get kidnapped,
and then
but then years later he returned, which is like, doesn't happen.
And as a teenager.
Yeah.
Not a 7-year-old. That's all those years you missed. And then you have your other child who's like.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'd give you some self-doubts on your life.
Be like, what the fuck happened? Come on, God. Could you take me off the list of strong people for this year?
I did read an article yesterday about the death penalty and how a lot of people who end up working with inmates who are sentenced to death and execution, they work directly with executions and stuff, how that changed their opinion from being either neutral or pro-death penalty to anti-death penalty. Not because the people don't deserve it that are being sentenced to this, but the effect that it has on the people who have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like creating more victims and trauma. And I guess nobody's really ever spoken about it. And I was like, shit, I never even thought about that. Like I've heard about where they'd have a firing squad and like 10 people and only one of them has a real bullet, the other 9 are duds or something. Like just so to make it easier on but the everyday life.
They should probably have like a system where, so when I was in high school, I wanted to be a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and shadowed a cop, part of some program that I had done. And they stuck me with a guy who did sex and child cases. So kind of like the SVU. And he said that they were only allowed to stay in that division for 4 years. And then they had to rotate out. And that they could come back again at some point, but they could only do 4 years at a time because it was too mentally hard on them that they were not allowed to stay in there for a long time. And he was like, they can leave and go to like another assignment for a few years and come back because some people enjoy this particular field because they want to help the victims. Not, you know what I mean when I say enjoy, but they could not stay longer than 4 years. And I think that was smart.
That is actually very smart because it's taking them out of that equation before they do their own self-destruction.
Yeah. Because 4 years, I'm sure, would give you some self-destruction all on its own.
Oh.
But to do longer than that.
To see the things that you're probably going to end up having to see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what gets me when people are like, I want to know the details. Yes, but you can't unknow some of these details.
Yeah. You
and
can't.
While I think I've kind of grown, like, it's not that it's not shocking. It's just that it does not surprise me that humans are capable of such terrifying things because I've seen it. And I don't know necessarily, like, speaking the Delphi, I know that they're holding back information still. And there's going to be, like, some court hearings in January. So this thing's going to go for a little bit, I'm sure. But eventually, there will be some information that comes out. And I'm almost tempted to not know.
Yeah. You know, I think the next case that I'm going to cover that I will be my first case when we come back is an inmate that I took care of at the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the mistake of looking him up and finding out his crime. And it was literally the biggest challenge of my life to continue to provide care to him after what I found out he did. And so I think I'm going to cover him next and integrate my personal experience with dealing with him. Because I dealt with him not only on a patient sense that I obviously cannot discuss, but I dealt with him in a sense of on the grounds of the prison, having to walk by
just
him and
normal
speak to him.
Interaction every day.
So I can tell you what it's actually like to interact with a murderer and tell you the crimes that he did, because he was in there for murder. 8 life sentences is what he got.
Yeah.
And
it's not every day that a person meets a murderer. And when you do, it is terrifying.
And interacted with them for 3 years.
And because they are just like anybody else.
Yeah. So I can give you guys.
They can hide it. So good.
The whole story of how I even came to look him up. Because I didn't just look people up. There would be a specific reason why I did. And there was a specific reason I went and looked him up. So I can tell you from the time I encountered him, what led up to me looking him up. And then I'll tell you his case. And then I will tell you how I reacted with him after I knew his case.
I'm excited to hear this one.
Yeah. It'll be very personal. And I will warn you, it is a 100% certified mushroom stamp episode.
It's going to be a rough one.
Will give you absolute terrifying nightmares, and it will make you cry. It will probably be one of the worst stories I'll ever cover.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. It's my gift to you.
Happy holidays, you guys.
And I can guarantee you that unless you lived in the area, that probably nobody has ever heard the story.
Those are the good ones, though.
Yeah.
Good being a I love that we get to that point all the time. Like when we use some terms, like, this is exciting. I'm very excited to talk about this death. Like, it's hard to put in the terms, but like, you know what I mean.
So I know Jennifer has some announcements from us, right?
I do.
About, like, aren't we taking a break for
Oh,
this
yeah.
season?
We talked about it a little bit last time.
Yeah. but I figured
we need to reiterate.
Yeah.
So
You're better at that than me. Sorry to
Thank you.
Drop it on you.
Sorry. Thank you. Always hyping me up. I love this. You need to be a hype person. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I could.
So you guys, we're going to be we got one more episode, and then we're going to complete season 1. And then we're going to come back between January and February. The date to be determined based upon schedules. Sigils. Her people have to call my people.
Yeah. Got to move some things around.
JJ and Jimmy, they're the peoples.
Just kidding. We do not let them handle any of our business.
No. But we do have one more story that is going to just kind of end it on a lighter note. Don't forget to like and subscribe us on whatever platform you're listening to. We may be taking a break, but there are so many episodes that have been recorded this year. In fact, we did the Spotify end of year. You know, we all get that. We never realized that there is a content creator one, and we're in the top, what percentage, Jimmy, of high content, or like 97. We have more content than 97% of other true crime podcasts.
Put it out there. Whoa, whoa. Brush your shoulder off.
And we're in the top 15% of true crime podcasts because of you guys. And
yeah. Yes, girl.
The Spotify Wrapped has been mind-blowing because we do this as a hobby. Yes, we joke about it would be awesome if we hit it off and just went viral or whatever. But at the same time,
and got to go on tour and see you guys in person,
right?
Living my best life, and all my
meet and
dreams
greets.
Come true.
Oh my god, I'm hugging everybody. I don't care.
I've been practicing autographing. Just kidding.
But I
wish. Right now, nobody gives a fuck about me or how I write my name. Maybe one day.
But it's been just overwhelming to see people. We've actually met people in real life that have come across our podcast before they met us, and it's just very humbling, mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's been a great fucking year.
Yeah.
And I am excited for what we have to come next year. So if you guys have any ideas of some things that you want to hear, drop in our DMs.
Oh yeah, we're working on the one with that person that I've been messaging about, the guy on death row. I hope we get a letter.
If you have your own too close to home stories, have you met a murderer? We're interested. We want to hear it. We definitely want to hear this. So
have you interacted with the murderer?
Yeah.
Are you a murderer? And you want to let us know about it and do an interview?
Exactly.
We won't call the police. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
But find us on our social media. That's how you can drop in on our DMs. We have TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and we do have merch.
Yeah.
If you're looking to gift somebody the wondrous gift of too close to home outfits, we got a whole bevy of things. Got a coffee cup, whole 9 yards. Jimmy's done a great job on that.
He has.
I think that's it. Did I cover all the announcements? Socials, platforms.
Just a little update. The guy on death row is writing us a letter right now.
Is he really?
He is. He can only send them via snail mail, and she anticipates that it will arrive to us in a month.
Do you think he's going to send prison art?
I fucking hope so, bro.
Bro,
I'm telling you right now, Jennifer, it's going in a frame, and when we have our own podcast room, we're sharing it. Our first piece of murder memorabilia, we're sharing them all, okay?
Yeah, I do have jail.
Bro, she really said he's writing us a letter.
Fuck, this is awesome. I do have
you
that
can
cross.
Cut that part out, Jimmy, if you need to.
I do have that cross that an inmate made me, but he just had a whole lot of DUIs, so this is infinitely cooler.
This is
cool. Big leagues.
So now after we finish
go
this,
and
we
brush
need to take
her shoulder off or rock away, you know?
I don't know how to rock away, but I'm over here doing something.
Do they even do the rock away anymore? Who knows?
Superman.
Superman, no. Until next time.
Stay safe. I forgot it's me, isn't it? Okay,
see, this
over.
is how much it hurt my brain when I had to do it by myself. I was like, stay safe, keep your head up, don't get too close to home. Okay.
Right, start over.
So don't forget to stay safe. Oh, no, what? Okay, sorry. It's fucking me up now. Ready? Until next time.
Stay safe.
Keep your head on a swivel.
And don't bring it too close to home. Unless it's because you're getting letters from death row inmates to cover on a podcast. Then it's
Bring
okay.
it home. Bring it home.
Bring it on home.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode of Too Close to Home, don't forget to rate and subscribe to us on most platforms. Follow us on our social media at Too Close Home Pod on Facebook, at Too Close Podcast on Instagram, or if you have your own Too Close to Home experience, shoot us your story at tooclosetohome@yahoo.com. Thanks for listening.